Hi YouTube. Thank you so much for watching my video. I wanted to make a short video about my experience with being transgender and Mormon. I'm no longer an active or practicing Mormon anymore, but it still is and always will be a very important part of my journey and of my life. I joined the church when I was 16 years old, and it honestly was a godsend. I joined the church at a time in my life where I was so lost and I was so confused, and I just really needed support and I needed answers. I remember this is when I was 15. I was cutting myself and I was running away from home, and I was just in a very dark place. And the only thing that I could think of was to try and find my way back to God. I didn't know how I was going to do that. I didn't know who I could speak to other than God. So I remember lying in my bed and praying and asking to find my way back to either a church or to God or to something that would help me get out of the rut that I was in. Lo and behold, these missionaries come to my house the following day, literally the next day. They were talking to my mom, but honestly, my mom just wasn't having any of that. You know, my family's not religious. And I noticed them, and they came to me and they started talking to me and my friend. And that pretty much was the beginning. That first lesson didn't go well. I remember I was very hostile and I was just very, very angry as a teenager. And I basically I kicked the missionaries out of my house because I wasn't having any of what they were saying. So after they had left, obviously I felt really bad for how I had treated them, how I had acted towards them. So I went out looking for them. I didn't find those two missionaries, but I found out that they had been transferred. So I met another set of missionaries who later came and started teaching me the lessons. Immediately, I joined the church. I really feel, even to this day, I feel that God led me to the Mormon church. The Mormon church became the father that I never had. For the first time in my life, I had a sense of purpose. There was this beautiful dream that they presented to me, that I could be a part of a community. I could be an important member of that community. And they made me believe that I had a link to God. The one thing I loved about the Mormon church is that they seemed to have an answer for everything. So I didn't have to worry and I didn't have to question. But in the midst of all of that, in the midst of my involvement with the Mormon church, I found myself sinking deeper and deeper in depression. And I didn't understand why, if I had found the truth and the only true church and I'd found God, why was I so at odds with my physical body? Why was I so angry? Why was I so lost? And the more I tried, the more I worked, the further I was away from happiness. It was at this point where I was the most suicidal, because I believed everything that they taught me. They taught me that, we lived in the pre-earth life and our bodies were ordained by God. And it was God's intention for me to be born in a body that I was an alien to. I knew I had to get out, but I didn't know how. It was at this point, I was about 19, working towards going on a mission, and I knew that it wasn't right for me. Thank God there were all of these delays and holdups with my mission process. By the time I turned 20 years old and I hadn't yet gone on a mission, and I was still very, very much involved in the Mormon church, I knew that it was now or never. This was the time for me to leave the Mormon church. I ended up leaving my hometown of King Williamstown, and I booked a flight. I went to the United States and I worked in Arkansas for a little bit. I knew I had to get out of my hometown because I had so many ties with the Mormon community there that even if I wanted to leave, I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't be able to on my own. And like that, I was gone. I later went back to South Africa and I got into university, and that's when I began my transition. So it's been about 8 years since I've been an active member of the Mormon church. Since then, I've transitioned and I've come into the person that I've always known myself to be. Now, a couple of weeks back, I bumped into these Mormon missionaries, and it honestly was just, it was such a blast from the past. There was this immediate sense of nostalgia that I got when I first saw them. Obviously, we talked and we set up an appointment, and they came to see me. Now, the two elders in question, they did not know that I was trans. We didn't talk about it until the last meeting we had. So, about a week ago, they had come in and they were trying to reactivate me, try and find out why I'm not going to the church anymore. Just to put it out there, I have no ill feelings towards the Mormon church. I don't have any of the anger that I used to have. And I'm not particularly interested in going back to the Mormon church. I know for myself that I could have never reached the full potential of who I am today if I stayed a Mormon. There was no way. Although the Mormon church has changed since I was last there, a lot of their beliefs just around women and gay rights, and especially transgender people, are not up to par. And I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I face more judgment and scrutiny from a community that really is against me. So this elder, a week ago, we were talking about politics. And, I told him I'm libertarian. I'm not exactly liberal and I'm not conservative. I'm all about people exercising their free will as long as it does not take away from somebody else. So he mentioned Ben Shapiro. And of course, I know who Ben Shapiro is. I've heard of him. I actually watched a video between him and Blair White. So I mentioned the video I'd watched about the transgender topic, and he immediately jumped in about how disgusting trans people are, how horrible they are. He said a lot of, he had a lot of smack to say about trans people. And, at that moment, I didn't tell him I was trans. I just didn't see a need to. But it was at that moment that I realized, you know what? I'm good. I honestly am good. I don't feel like I need to force myself into a religious community that does not accept me. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I had to be a part of the church. I'm grateful for the love that they showed me while I was there and for the friendships that I made. But I feel like there was a time and there was a place for all of that. I've since moved past that. And I found a concept of God that is loving and accepting and embracing of me. So if you are still in the church, if you are still a Mormon, or you're a Catholic, or whatever religion you are, that's wonderful. However, I would definitely encourage you to look at the side of God that is loving and accepting of who you are. You do not have to be at odds with your physical body anymore. You don't have to live with feelings of self-hatred. And you certainly don't have to live in a community that scrutinizes you. There are so many of us that want to love and support you as you are, that want to love and support you as you wish to be. So know that you're loved and know that there is acceptance. The world is not limited to the four walls within the LDS church. There's an entire world out there, and I know you're going to find it. Take care of yourself. And thank you for watching.